We bring in now Joe Kinsey to break down everything in the world of Outkick insanity. And I want to start with the Tim Tebow story. Joe, you've been writing and covering Tim Tebow for a very, very long time. Are you as entertained as I am by the people, now that Tim Tebow officially has a number and is a member of the Jacksonville Jaguars, that seem utterly offended by the idea that Tebow is coming back?
Clay, this nonsense where people are outraged about Tim Tebow taking a roster spot. Tim Tebow is ruining the, sanctity of the football world. I mean, give me a break, Clay. These blowhards that are all acting all offended by Tebow. Clay, listen, I've been writing about how the Jags, they're desperate for attention down there. They're desperate for people to come and care about them, and Tebow does it. And so I have no sympathy for the whiners out there. I love Tebow coming back. And he's huge, by the way, Clay. What has he been eating? He's just been sucking down protein shakes.
He definitely is a big dude now. I was looking at that video and thinking to myself, like, this is actually really interesting to think about for sure. Do you think he'll make the team? Like, if you were setting odds, do you think Tebow? I mean, you talk about the Jags and the fact that they need interest. They've got Urban Meyer now. They've got Trevor Lawrence. What do you think ends up happening here?
Clay, wouldn't this be beautiful if Urban and Tebow, they use Tebow's roster spot to take a little bit of pressure off of Trevor Lawrence? You're going to have media back in these facilities and back in the locker rooms, and I actually think Tebow's going to make it, and he's going to be a diversion to take a little bit of pressure off of Lawrence and everybody, wanting big numbers out of him. And let's face it, Jacksonville wants to make money. This is a money play. They love Tebow to make money, and he's going to sell jerseys. I mean, they're already selling his jerseys online. So I love it. I think it's great. And by the way, Clay, we know that Tebow lives literally like 200 yards from Urban Meyer. Urban moved in next to him. So you're not cutting him. They're going to be the first ones in the facility, Clay.
I went on Fox News Wednesday, I think. All the days run together now that it's Friday. I've been doing so much media. But yeah, it was Wednesday. I went on with Will Kane, and we talked about the beer bat that you have written about. I gave you a shout-out on Fox News. Did you hear from people who heard me giving you a shout-out, and tell people who don't know what the beer bat is why it has become so viral on social media?
Well, first of all, the beer bat is, I don't know how long, what is that, a foot long of beer? It's shaped as a bat. I mean, it's the beer bat. And they pour the beer in the bat, and you sit in the stands, or in the case of Myrtle Beach, where this bat, where you can get it at the minor league games, you can actually sit and put your feet into sand out, it looks like down the left field line, and you just sit there and enjoy a beer bat, a bat filled with beer. And Clay, I actually ordered one of these from Myrtle Beach, from the team, so I'm waiting to get it. But I sat there Wednesday night, and I'm sitting on the patio just listening to some music, and all of a sudden the phone lights up. Clay mentioned you on Fox News. Clay said this. Clay, I'm like, this is unbelievable. My name is on now with millions of people. This is big news. And then nobody in my family even said a word, Clay. It's all the fans. The family is just used to me, talking on national radio. This is just old hat. But the fans, Clay, they went nuts. They appreciate you doing what you did. And, listen, I'm happy, too. I didn't want to text you and say that. I wanted to talk to you in person, but I know you're busy.
We're talking to Joe Kinsey, who does fantastic work for us, writing about so many different crazy subjects at Outkick. This story has kind of come out of nowhere. I know the NBA play-in's going on and everything else, but Kwame Brown has just eviscerated a massive number of people. I've seen him go after Stephen A. Smith, Jamel Hill, Steven Jackson, so many Gilbert Arenas, also with Matt Barnes. Have you ever seen anything like a player come out of nowhere and just begin to eviscerate everybody and start trending like Kwame Brown has?
Clay, I didn't even know Kwame Brown had ever spoken on video. I had never heard him speak in my life. And this guy's, this is in my wheelhouse. Kwame Brown in the early 2000s, he was, a big deal. And I had never heard him speak. And all of a sudden, he's like the voice of reason out there in the world.
Yes, it's crazy.
How in the world does this happen?
It is wild that Kwame Brown, people may be listening and like, well, you vaguely remember the name Kwame Brown. He was the number 1 overall pick when, like 2001, something like that for Michael Jordan. I think he's 39 years old now. So Jordan had to decide between Tyson Chandler and Kwame Brown. And obviously, Tyson Chandler ended up having a pretty good career, I think it's fair to say. Kwame Brown, it wasn't like he disappeared immediately, and I think he made around $80 million. But this is pretty interesting in and of itself to see him finally decide that he's tired of being ripped on, and he's just absolutely crushed so many of the media members and former players who've been ripping him.
Yeah, no, I was blown away by how articulate. Listen, he doesn't mince words. He attacks pretty much everybody and anybody. It doesn't matter political stance, whatever. He's going after you. But it's all these people that had remained unchecked that Brown has gone after inside the NBA world. And he's like, look, I'm tired of this. I don't care who you are, where you're at in the NBA world, I'm coming after you. And it's so refreshing. I mean, Jamel Hill, he just unleashed on her. And then he Barnes and Arenas, they're all acting like, he had this worthless career. And he said, listen, I put my mom in a house on a golf course. And I looked it up, and she lived in that house his whole career. And she passed away, but Kwame Brown was a man of his word. He put his mom on a golf course.
We're talking to
beautiful display out of this guy.
We're talking to Joe Kinsey. You can follow him on Twitter at Joe Kinsey EXP. You can read him every single day at Outkick. Couple of other different stories that are out there. Charles Barkley. This is an awesome story. I saw you write about it. Charles Barkley gave $1,000 to over 200 different employees of his high school. Explain what happened here.
Yeah, Barkley has been on a not charity, he's just given money to different things that he thinks people deserve it, and he wrote $1,000 checks to every employee in the school district. I think at the high school level, 226, I believe, is what it came out to. Didn't want any exposure from it, but the superintendent of the school system was like, no, Charles is getting mentioned on this one. And to this day, we still don't know, Barkley's just let it go out there. He's just saying, listen, I'm donating my money to people that I think deserve it, and these school people that made it through a year, I'm going to give them $1,000, do what you want with it. And once again, Barkley, listen, Clay, we know he's a charitable guy. He gives he buys drinks for everybody out in Tahoe at the golf tournaments. This guy loves people, so rack him up again, another $226,000 from Charles Barkley.
Amazing guy, Charles Barkley is. I think he's certainly one of the 50 greatest basketball players of all time. Member of the Dream Team, Lots of fun to watch as an athlete. He's better as a media member than I think any former athlete has ever been. And in other words, for his sport, breaking it down, as a media analyst, as good as he was as a basketball player, and he's one of the 50 greatest, he was an MVP, I think he is even better as an overall sort of athlete turned into media member. Just a genuinely good dude. And speaking of a genuinely good dude, we don't really know exactly how good of a guy Derek Jeter is, but we do know that he sold his ridiculous, I think it was bayfront, or I'm not sure exactly. Would you call it waterfront, I guess, maybe oceanfront? He sold a $20+ million house that Tom Brady had been living in. What are the details on this place that he sold in Tampa?
Well, Clay, it's, I believe, 22,000 square feet, somewhere in that range. Enough bathrooms for the entire for the entire Yankees team, bedrooms for everybody. Brady moved out in September, and that's when Jeter put it on the market, and it was there for 8 months or whatever, and all of a sudden, boom, it's the highest sale in Hillsborough County in the history of the county. And Jeter's, he's done with this massive house that has, I believe, 300 feet of waterfront for a yacht. So, I mean, bring your yacht, bring your big boats. And but Brady was in there. He was just like subletting the place. So the story goes that Brady got the house ready to show and everything. So he was a great house guest. And Jeter's, he must be down in Miami full time now. So, I mean, must be nice to be rich, right, Clay?
Yeah, no doubt. It is a nice spot to be in. Although my life really hasn't changed. I'm still living pretty much the same way I was before. We're talking to Joe Kinsey. And by the way, you get to benefit off that too. So what are you going to do with the extra money you get?
Probably buy a new golf driver, I want to improve the game, Clay. You got to take the game to the next level.
We're talking to Joe Kinsey. You have been covering Holly Sonders for years, I think. What do you think about her now becoming a teammate of yours and joining Outkick?
I mean, Clay, we got to get to Vegas, got to get out with Holly. I just can't imagine a night out with Holly, what that entails. That would be a podcast. Like, what is a night out with Holly like? I need to experience that. I've done a lot of great things in life, but I've never been out on the town with Holly Sonders. I just imagine this being one of the craziest nights of my life. I've already told the wife, listen, it's research, it's development, it's Outkick work. So just get used to it. We're going to do this year. I'm going to have to get out to Vegas to see Holly. I love it, Clay. Everybody, the golf world, they can't understand why Holly would want to leave the golf world. She starts making big-time dollars doing what she does. She's an eccentric. And I love that we have those kind of people coming on board at Outkick. And that's what people want to see. They want to see different wild people living life. Now I'm going to document it, Clay, for the site.
Yeah. Well, she told us yesterday on the show that she had bought a Ferrari. I think I wrote down, what did I say, a custom Ferrari, a white custom Ferrari, since she spent $300,000 on it. Have you ever been in a Ferrari? I mean, I've looked at a Ferrari, but I mean actually been in a Ferrari and ridden in one.
No, I mean, I've only been in Indy cars, but I've never.
Indy cars a pretty big deal.
I mean, I've sat behind Mario Andretti, Clay.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's not cool that doesn't suck. We're talking to Joe Kinsey. Yeah. By the way, speaking of hot athletes, by the way, which Holly used to be when she was with Michigan State. This track athlete that you're covering, the Olympics are coming up. You've got a German track athlete that you're following. I think she's pretty popular with the Outkick crew.
Yeah, Alicia Schmidt is her name. She's a sprinter, a 400-meter specialist. Listen, Clay, back in 2017, in my previous internet life, I declared that Alicia Schmidt was the hottest track athlete in the world. And here we are, 2021, the Olympics are coming up. The tabloids are going nuts. They still think she's just a page view machine. I declared it 4 years ago, and here we are. Everything's cranking up, Clay. Tokyo is trying their best. All these Corona bros in Tokyo, they're trying to cancel the Olympics. It's not going to happen. They better just get on board with it. Alicia and all the other athletes are coming to town, and it's a page view bonanza for us, and Miss Schmidt will be leading the way for us.
Finally, story here that you wrote about this week. There were a group of kindergartners that were kidnapped, but then they drove the kidnapper crazy. What happened in this story?
Yeah, down in South Carolina, we have an Army recruit. He's at Fort Jackson, I believe is what it was, and he goes AWOL. He takes his rifle from the barracks. He hijacks a bus, and it turns out that the bus is loaded with 18 kindergartners. So the Army recruit, he moves all the kids to the front of the bus. He's got the rifle. He's pointing it at the bus driver. And all of a sudden, the kindergartners save the day, Clay. They start asking the Army guy all sorts of questions. It drives him so crazy that he tells the bus driver to stop the bus. He orders all 18 kindergartners off the bus. He tells the bus driver, you get off too, everybody off the bus. And the Army dude steals the bus, leaves all the kids, they're safe and sound. And the bus driver is now calling these kindergartners in their curiosity. He's saying these kids are heroes, Clay.
I'm assuming they arrested the guy and got the bus back.
Yeah, he was popped, and the kids are now heroes and saved the day. And I mean, this is a story of the year in my world, especially. So,
Kindergartners.
Thank God for those kindergartners.
And their ability to ask so many different questions about so many different things all together for anybody who's ever, God bless them, by the way. My kids are finishing their school today. Today is the last half day of school for my kids in public school. One of them's a kindergartner. She did a fantastic job. Shout out to Miss Mills for all the work that she did handling all these kindergartners during what was a crazy COVID year with the masks on and everything else. Joe Kinsey, I'll talk to you again soon. Keep up the good work at Outkick and appreciate all you do.
All right, Clay. Thanks.